So with that, Victor, tell us about customer analytics.
You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. And I'm glad. This is what I live for. All right, title. This is Search Business Analytics over at techtarget.com article. Customer analytics firms merge to take on Salesforce and Adobe. This is what I'm talking about. This is where the game gets interesting. Because if you're at the top, you got to dethrone the king. In this case, Salesforce, let's dethrone them. So Manthan Systems and Rich Relevance, vendors specializing in customer analytics, recently merged to bring together AI-fueled insights with expertise in global retail. That's their market. Two small customer analytic vendors merged on January 19th to form Algonami, an alternative. That's the West Side come up with that pronunciation. Algonami. If I got that wrong, Algonami, let me know. I think it's algorithm and economy. I mean, Algonami.
I was waiting for you to say the word because I didn't know how to say it either.
Algonami, an alternative to CRM giants like Salesforce and Adobe that offers a customer data platform built on augmented intelligence and machine learning to provide insights in real time. This is what I've been waiting for because I love it. I love when you have the rise, and eventually I don't want to see Salesforce or Adobe fall, but I just love to see them be, the thing is, look, I love competition because it makes sure that the person in the lead doesn't get comfortable, and somebody's nipping at their heels.
Victor, this will make sense as I flesh it out. But are you a Star Trek person or a Star Wars person? In that Star Trek, and I don't know that much about Star Trek, but Star Trek, I like Star Wars, but Star Trek just seems a little bit too nerdy from my perspective. Star Trek, they're fighting for the Federation, the good guys, they're going around trying to crush the rebels and all that kind of thing. Whereas Star Wars, the universe is against them. They are the rebels. The alliance or whatever. The bad guys have all the power. Are you more interested in being the big cheese, just making sure everyone's happy, or are you the rebel who wants to kind of get back your freedoms and slay the Darth Vader and all the baddies in that perspective?
I think I have to confess this. I think from a personal standpoint, I'm more Star Trekky. From a personal standpoint, but when I look at market competition, I go into Star Wars mode. So I guess I externalize Star Wars and I internalize Star Trek. Come on, let's all get along. Kumbaya. We're all in this universe together. Let's not fight. But then there's the competition. Then you go into Star Wars mode. There's the Death Star. Let's get the Death Star. Let's launch that thing. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does answer my question, which is interesting. And it's one of the reasons perhaps why there's that dynamic between the two of us as we discuss things, because I am very much in the Star Trek camp. So I'll tell you off air, but someone slighted me a few years ago. They threatened legal action against salesmanorg, the company, over just a simple miscommunication, just basically a piece of marketing copy that just happened to be the same as some of their marketing copy. And they were just an arsehole over it. I have a picture of that fella on my desk in the office when I'm working on my computer desk. And every time I feel like I'm slacking a little bit, I look at that idiot and I go, I'm going to crush you. So it's a far bigger company than what I'm competing, what we are as, and we might never get to that kind of size. But that idiot drives me like nothing else. I don't want kumbaya, Victor. I don't want none of that bullshit. I want to crush these individuals. So so it's interesting. Maybe there is that dynamic between us.
Yeah, I prefer kumbaya, but then there's the Death Star, and there's always got to be, it's very George Orwell. If you think about it, 1984, there was always a common enemy, right? And so sometimes you look for that common enemy, and it's not so much that it's an enemy. So let's be clear. It's, in your case, well, it may be in your case, but in my case, it's somebody I want to be as close to that person as possible. I may not get there, but there's the goal. That to me is social proof. Let's go in that direction. So I didn't know about this about you, Will.
Yeah, I've got this side to me.
Wow, okay. The dark side of Will.
And I guess in general, look, across business and business landscape, 9 times out of 10, it's better for, I think Gary Vaynerchuk is accredited to this, maybe. He probably robbed it from someone else. It's better to build, he wants to build the biggest skyscraper as opposed to having a building of a set height and knocking everyone else down. So I'm not saying that I would want to do what this idiot did and try and use legal action against me to hold me back. I want to accelerate and build a better product, a better business so that I surpass him. So I'm not saying that I want ill will against him, but that drives me to do better. So maybe that's a better way of explaining it.
I get you. I also know the dark side now. Have you ever listened to a guy? I'm trying to look him up. His name is David Pena.
No.
So he's like a billionaire and he's a speaker. I think it's not David. It's something Pena.
Oh,
this
Dan
guy
Pena.
is so Dan Pena.
Yeah, he lives in a castle.
Yeah, unfiltered. Like 75 years old. Yeah, if you want to get fired up, and there's a guy who is definitely a Star Wars dude. Mm-hmm. He's all about the Death Star. You know what I mean? And being a rebel. I mean, he's just a leader of the rebellion.
I don't think he's a leader of rebellion. I think he is Darth Vader. I think he's happy to just crush people. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I'm Luke Skywalker. I want to go and save the universe and slay my father for the better good. Dan Pena he would not care about saying this. And I've gone back and forth. I nearly interviewed him a few years ago. I don't know what happened. We didn't get arranged for whatever reason. He wants to just slay people. He says as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, he'll do it. And then he kind of paraphrases that and saying that legal, moral, not moral and ethical is a gray area. So he's happy to do whatever it takes, basically, as long as it's somewhat legal to get the job done. And clearly, he lives in a castle in Scotland. So who am I to criticize that? If that's the life you want to live, clearly he's successful in what he's done to get where he is.
He's brutal. He's brutal. I mean, he is brutal. But I guess now that I think about it, he doesn't want to get along with everybody, so to speak. Hey, Dad, just know that we're both fans. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've read his book. I think it's Your First 100 Million. So it's slightly outdated now, but it is motivating in its own right. And I feel like it's good. Tell me your thoughts on this, Victor. I feel it's good to get different views on different people. So you mentioned your upbringing. My upbringing is very kind of lower middle class. Dad was kind of middle management. Mum worked in a pharmacy in a hospital, was a pharmacy technician. Didn't have loads of money, but always had a roof over his head. Whatever toys I wanted for Christmas, typically always got them. Got the latest games, computer games or whatever. But we weren't driving around in Porsches or anything like that. So I think it's interesting when I've just had a very normal life and just very somewhat average up until kind of taking things into my own hands and very safe and secure and no issues along that front. I find it really interesting and it really opens my eyes. And in fact, I will just pull it up here. Have you read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl?
No. I've never read it, but I've kind of heard about it, so to speak, by a lot of people.
Amazing book. I'll link this in the show notes to this episode over at thisweekinsales.com. He's a Holocaust survivor, and he's a psychiatrist who the first part of the book is him documenting what went on and the moral struggles and the fact that the people who survived typically still had a bit of a laugh in these incredibly difficult, horrible circumstances. And the second half of the book is him trying to suss out why people survived and why some people didn't survive, both mentally, physically, and everything else as well. It's an amazing book, really motivating. But the point I was making was I find it really interesting to read people like Dan Pena or watch his videos, to learn about your background and your history and where you've gone from to where you are now, because that really opens my eyes to if other people have done these different things. I feel like I can do incredible things as well, even though I haven't had this big, leap of success. I've not had to break through these barriers. Because I find a lot of the stories that we do hear about is someone going from nothing to something, and I've kind of gone from something to something. So these different views.
I think it's a little more. You're being a little humble there, but I think it's something to more than something. So we'll leave it at that. How's that?
Yeah, but all the point I was making was I find it really fascinating to get different views on different life experiences from people, and that's kind of I'll link to this book in the show notes, but that was one book that really had an impact on me, so much so that it's literally on the desk behind me there. Now I'm slightly worried, Victor, of whatever books are on there as well that the audience can see, because I've not curated these, so it could be absolutely anything. It's just what I was reading a few weeks ago.
I was gonna say that I think there's something to when you have some type of rough beginning. I think there's I don't know. I'm going to choose my words carefully. There's an aggressiveness, an anger, a revenge aspect that's in your DNA that makes you want to win. So when I see somebody with that, I'm going to kill you type of thing, and just like that, I go, dude, what happened to you? Do you know what I mean? In my head, I go, what happened to you? And so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think to some extent it's a good thing because it drives you, but left unchecked, it's never a great thing.
Sure. And I guess there's some of this is survivor bias as well, of the people that you're chatting to who have used that energy to go somewhere good with it. They've leveraged it to better themselves. They're the people that we talk about and that we interview and that we see on stage. People who have let that, that those terrible circumstances just eat them alive, and whether it's drugs or whatever it is that they end up kind of going down a spiral. Obviously, we don't see those people, do we? So, I guess that kind of leads into it a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate. If you can channel it, you'll be great. If you can't, it's not going to be great.